Hey guys, it's Brian. We had a computer fail on us this week, and with it went a couple of our videos. So unfortunately, our regular video we weren't able to put out, but we'll redo that one and put it out in the future. It's a Gold Rush cocktail, so be on the lookout for that. We are going to be able to put together our final 100 proof tournament video. That'll come out on Friday. So what I decided to do today was just go out around town to a couple of our liquor stores here in our little town to give you guys a feel for what we have right here in our little village here. So check out the local bourbon hunting video. Cheers, guys. Okay, first stop in town is East Main Liquors, right on Main Street here. Really nice store. They get some cool stuff. I've gotten some really nice bottles here in the past, so let's check out what they have. So like I said, East Main is a nice store. Most of their fare is pretty standard. You can see there they've got a Toasted Barrel and they've got Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. That's the B batch. I actually bought an A batch there when they first came out. Orphan Barrel up there, they in the Hardens Creek. So they do get some interesting stuff, but most of it is pretty standard. You saw up top the Redwood Empire cask strength. It's actually one of the first places I saw in Western New York that had the Redwood cask strength. And they had all three, and they've actually got them a couple times around now, but they're long gone now. I haven't seen them there in a few weeks. But again, some gems that maybe are a little harder to find, especially in a little town. And then some other pretty standard stuff. That 5 and 20, that's a local bourbon and rye. I usually skip that in favor of some other better locals. But it is nice to see local stuff on the shelf. Iron Smoke is New York State. I wish they had maybe less Basil Hayden's and more shelf space from some other stuff, but what are you going to do? People love their Basil Hayden's, I guess. But it's, like I said, a nice selection. There's the 1792, and we even have the big boy. I told you guys, Western New York is lousy with 1792. It is all over the place. So there's no shortage. If you can't find it, come to Western New York, and you definitely will find it. Jack Daniels, they have the bonded and the triple mash. You generally don't see any single barrels or barrel proofs of Jack Daniels at this store. It just they just don't get them. You don't see them here. Jefferson Ocean, and you can see some of the prices are a little high on maybe some of the nicer, harder to find bottles. And I think we're in a small town, and they're saving you the trip to Buffalo, the 40-minute drive. So maybe it's worth it. Like that McKenna, it's $69.99. It should be $50, but you don't really find it anywhere really. And so to save your trip of going hunting it down up in Buffalo, Orchard Park, or Amherst, you pay a little bit of a premium for it. They have the Russell's 10-year. They don't have the single barrels, but the other store I went to actually did. And you'll see that in a minute. Southern Tier is a local distillery that I would say has really improved in the last 5 or 6 years, and they're doing some good stuff. There's your basic Wild Turkey and Four Roses. You don't really get much beyond the single barrel for Four Roses. Old Tub, my buddy Mike's a huge fan of Old Tub, $18.99 here, so it's a pretty good deal. Then you kind of get into the Irish, but then they do have a little more bourbon mixed in here. You've got your Jim Beam, your old granddad, some Evan Williams. There's the bottle. So another great store is Sheridan Wine and Liquor. This is another place that gets a lot of good allocated stuff. They usually do a raffle for it, but I've gotten some good bottles here. I got my first bottle of Blanton's here, and I got an Old Elk, Wheat and Rye here, and a Hardens Creek. So they get some good stuff once in a while. They just had a raffle, so they probably don't have much right now, but we'll go check out their selection. All right. So of the two really good bourbon liquor shops in town, this is probably the one that has more of the harder to find stuff. It's actually the only place in town that had Wilderness Trail. Up until a couple of weeks ago, they had the old bottles of the Maker's 46 cask strength that were like those 46 bottles there. And I'm kicking myself for not grabbing one because they're gone now. And I really wanted to compare the two. to see if there's a difference. They do have the Innkeeper's blend of 2XO, $100. Not willing to spend that until I try it, but they've got Calumet 15, 16, 10, 8 in the small batch. So they got the full line of Calumet there. Over here, they have their store pick of Bullet. It's a single barrel, and I will tell you, I've gone through 4 bottles of this. It is delicious. It is my favorite bottle of Bullet I have had. Starting over on the wall, they've got a pretty good section of rye here. They've got, all kinds of stuff. They have a much larger selection of rye than the other shop in town, East Maine. The Penelope, they actually got on recommendation from one of our videos when we did Buy These Bourbons Now. Penelope was one of them. And one of the workers here is a former student. And he watches the channel and convinced the manager to grab some Penelope. And I guess it's doing pretty well. People are liking it. There's Southern Tier Rye. I'm not a fan of that bottle, even though I said they are doing much better things than they were maybe when they started. I'm not a big fan of their rye. So, they got some basics like your Sazerac and the Alberta Premium and then some nicer bottles. And then you head over next to it to the bourbon. They've got that Horse Soldier 12 year. It's almost $600. So that's a pass for me. They got some nice bottles of Old Elk, including the Cigar Cut, which I hear a lot of people are not finding, and they've got plenty on the shelf. A lot of it is they have basics. That Russell single barrel is $65, which I think is still a great buy because I'm starting to see it upwards of $80 and $85 online. So it's nice to still be able to get that under $70. There's your Heaven Hill. It's $50 everywhere. Journeyman. We're going to be talking about the Journeyman coming up soon. Another up and comer video because those are great bottles. They're doing great stuff. So again, a lot of the selection is kind of the same store to store. If I went up to Buffalo, I'd see all the same stuff as well. There's the 1792 again. But once in a while, they just get those gems. And like I said in the intro, they just had a raffle a couple weeks ago. So they don't really have a whole lot of allocated stuff left. But I'm hoping maybe in the next couple of months, they will grab some. There's that Southern Tier single cask. I'm really interested in trying that. We're actually going to give one of those away on our 1,000th subscriber celebration. The Milan and Green, they have the unabridged. I haven't seen that before. They must have just got that in. I actually tried it in a restaurant. I wasn't crazy about it, but the other two, the single barrel and the triple cask, are both excellent, and they'll be on our list of up and comers as well. Wild Turkey Rare Breed, $50, so it's still pretty reasonable to get a Wild Turkey here. There's your old Granddad Bonded. So they definitely have a decent selection. There's the Brothers Bond Cast Strength. They do have the Bowman, Isaac Bowman and Bowman Brothers. I have gotten John J. Bowman here before, but haven't seen it for months. So I think once the word got out, it became a lot harder for a little store like this to get. But again, that Iron Smoke, that's a New York State one. I just saw them at a wine festival near us, and it actually was pretty good. I didn't mind it. So I might be picking up a bottle of theirs to give it a little more attention. There's Buffalo Distilling 1 Foot Cock. Their bourbon. Now the straight bourbon is sourced, but they are making a bottled and bond bourbon and rye that is all their own juice. That is fantastic. We just went up there a couple days ago, and I'm hoping that we can do a little something with them in the future, maybe an interview and a tour, and we can kind of put a spotlight on an up and coming local distillery. Then we get into the Irish. There's some Scotch. I really don't know much about Scotch, but I saw a bunch of Scotch in fancy boxes. So I thought maybe that for the folks out there looking at these, it might mean something to you. The prices were not cheap, I can tell you that. So again, they have, it looks like a decent Scotch collection and Irish collection as well. And then along this side, we got the big boys, your big bottles for mixing and stuff. But it's a really nice store. We're real lucky in this little town to have 2 really nice stores bourbon wise. All right, guys. So those are really the 2 best places around me to find good bottles of bourbon. We do have one other store, but they kind of have Evan Williams, maybe Jack Daniels, and then maybe they'll have Maker's Mark or Woodford, but they don't usually stock up on bourbon. It's not really a place catering to bourbon drinkers, so you don't find a lot there. So Sheridan here, and then East Main down the road. Those are the places really to go. Didn't buy anything today because we've actually bought quite a bit lately. I got a couple of things from Sealbox, and I actually have a couple bottles coming in from Storytime. So had to kind of keep the wallet shut today. Anyway, we're always talking about the stores in my little town, so I just thought maybe you'd like to see the kind of selection we have here in this little village in New York State. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any other videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.